Chad from T-Town, baby. I appreciate you guys. Today, we are talking depth chart. Jeff, what's up, man? I see you inside the comment box as well. Southern Red, good morning to you. And Jeremiah Taylor, what's popping, man? I appreciate you guys. Today, we're talking depth chart. We are going to predict the depth chart going into this first week of the season. I've also added to the graphics a couple different icons, and I'll walk you through the icons. There's really just a couple to go through. So, for example, on this particular screen right here, you have Jalen Milroe, who has a C. He's been named a captain by Coach Kalen DeBoer and by his teammates. You also have the transfer icon on players that are transfers in. All the players will not be listed on these depth charts, but this will give you an idea of kind of where things stand at this point in time. Again, I know a lot of people ask me about where I get the hoodie from. This is from Chris Mobley and the hat up top from our merch store right here on YouTube. So when we look at the depth chart right here, and we'll start with quarterback and we'll work our way all the way down, and then we'll also look at the Alabama football schedule. That's what we're going to discuss right here on Bama Football on YouTube. You have college football this Saturday, Florida State, Georgia Tech. I might be watching the game with you on YouTube. So you're like, what? Stay tuned. Okay. We're going to talk about the quarterback depth chart. I'm going to hit on each of these guys. Then we're going to move to running backs, tight ends, wide receivers, O-line. Get comfy. Sit back. Have your coffee ready. I have my coffee. My coffee has to be, I'm telling you, it has to be almost like boiling. I don't know if something's wrong with me. It goes right to I can feel it like in my soul, the coffee. All right, let's do it. Okay, the quarterback depth chart. I love where we're at right now with the quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide. You got Jalen Milroe, who's the team captain. I've asked before, a lot of questions I'm going to ask you next week, too, as we go into that first game against Western Kentucky. I feel he's going to be able to throw for over 3,500 yards this coming season. Last year, he threw for 2,800. This year, I think he's going to absolutely flourish in this system under Nick Sheridan, Jamarcus Shepard. Don't forget that he's the co-offensive coordinator of this club as well. So when you look to, hey, Patriot Life in with the 20 spot, man. Thank you so much for bringing it right here. Yo, can we make the super chat? What can we get it to today? We get it to maybe like $65? That'd be dope. Patriot Life in, man. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for supporting the product. And I think this year specifically, too, with Jalen Milroe, this will be the reason I feel this is the year of Milroe is because I also think he'll be able to display running the football. He really didn't do it last year. I think if you kind of rewinded the first time that we saw Jalen Milroe, I kind of think back to that game against Arkansas. Remember when he was young and he got loose and he kind of showed what he's capable of. Last year, he didn't really run. Honestly, I think kind of, there were some times where he did take off, but overall, we haven't seen what he's really capable of in terms of just taking over a game. And I think that is coming this year for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Do you agree with me on that? Do you feel that Jalen Milroe is about to unleash his just raw ability on top of what he's been able to learn from Nick Sheridan, Coach Kalen DeBoer, since their takeover in January, plus added the weapons. I talked about this last night on a video. I said Nick Sheridan, out of all of the offensive coordinators that have taken over a program, Larry Large, what's up, man? I see you inside the comment box. Nobody has had a better offensive setup than Nick Sheridan. Nobody. He's coming here to be the tight ends coach, to work with a quality group of tight ends. He's elevated to OC. There's no one out there that has taken over another program and taken over a group as talented as this. We're talking about the depth chart today. Kyle Anderson and Bama Football on YouTube. You can also find me on Spotify. Just type in Bama Football on YouTube. But, of course, all the news comes right here first on Bama Football on YouTube. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. And, look, it is a tough schedule. It's a very tough schedule with games on the road that are going to test these guys. I'm curious to see how the helmet communication comes into play. But overall, the quarterback room, absolutely stellar. Ty Simpson, he's made some plays. He's right where he needs to be. Was recently recognized as a Christian Leadership Award, him with Justice Haynes and another Alabama offensive lineman. Say what you want about guys like, I have a lot of respect for Ty Simpson, because I feel that he could be the starter at a lot of different programs. He could have left. Let me ask you this, okay? For everybody that kind of has their ear to the ground, watches social media, your recruiting websites, this and that. Have you ever heard a complaint from Ty Simpson about playing time? I haven't. I've heard nothing but just, that he's just working. Every video that we see of him, his pops, is a head football coach at UT Martin. I haven't heard anything. That's the sign of a grown man. You don't complain. There's no entitlement in life. There's no entitlement to just play the best play. And when it's your time to play, you take that ability and you take that and you run with it. There will be a point in time, I promise you. I don't know if it's this season, next season, whatever, that Ty Simpson will be given the keys. Just like in life, just at your job, right? You probably have somebody who might be ahead of you. Don't worry, your time will come. It's timing. And it takes one season at the quarterback position to show everybody else that you can do it and to shut up everybody's mouth that you waited your turn to take over and run the offense. Man, I got a lot of respect for that kid because he could be a starter at a lot of places. A lot of respect for Ty Simpson for sure. Austin Mack came in. Look, the depth chart is the depth chart. He's been seen working with the threes. Okay, he's been seen working with, Geno Vandermark as the third team center. Dylan Lonergan's a very good quarterback as well. But Austin Mack, it looks like, he is the third team quarterback over Dylan Lonergan. Now, will any of those guys see time? Maybe down the road and, some mop-up duty or whatever. But the point is, if we're talking depth chart, this is realistically probably what it looks like right now for Alabama. He's probably the third quarterback to come off the bench. That's fine, right? You also have Keelan Russell added to this class of 2025, spearheading that group of class of 2025 prospects that currently ranked number 2 in the country, right? You saw Courtney Morgan last night on the Hey Coach show. Got a lot of respect for that guy too. Staying with Coach Kalen DeBoer, loyalty. People were saying, well, $1 million doesn't go as far in Los Angeles as it does here in Tuscaloosa. I don't know. You ever step into this 35406 area code over here in Tuscaloosa? Come over here and buy a house. I think money isn't everything. Does it help? For sure, but it's not everything. Loyalty is huge. If you're grown, you take loyalty over money. Am I right? Those are things you learn the older you get. But Courtney Morgan doing a hell of a job, and I'm really glad that he got a promotion because, look, number 2 recruiting class, has a really good outline, really humble dude. I like it. All right. Let's look at the running back depth chart. I appreciate you guys being here. Kyle Henderson and Bama Football on YouTube. Some more icons to run through. I'm on every single position. I have captain. That's a C. The transfer is the icon that goes both ways. And then if you see F, that's for freshman, like a true freshman. So right here is the running back depth chart. Okay. And you have Jam Miller, who's still in a black jersey this week. I wouldn't read much into it. In fact, I think Coach Kalen DeBoer has to give an official injury report going into this first game for Vegas. I think those are the rules this year of college football. He's going to be playing regardless. Jam Miller is going to have a stellar year. Justice Haynes right there. I list a lot of those guys, too, as first-team guys depending on the packages. Like, if Jam Miller is the first guy who carries the football, that doesn't mean that Justice Haynes is second team. This is big boy football. This is NFL light. Based on the various formations, there's different guys that are different starters for those different packages. So Jam Miller, Justice Haynes, one of the top tandems. I think if you were to take off your Alabama football hat and put it to the side, you probably have the Ohio State running backs and then Alabama's running backs in terms of hey, Garrett in with the super chat, man. After Patriot Life, he comes through and he says, this is from Garrett, I'm looking forward to seeing Jalen Milroe get the respect he deserves. 100%. He has some potential to win the Heisman, be a winner. He has the potential to be the number 1 draft pick next year. Look, sky's the limit for Jalen Milroe. And you heard, and I appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much for supporting the product right here on Bama Football on YouTube. You heard how many people slid into his DMs after December. Everybody. There's not a team out there that didn't want Jalen Milroe. I promise you. If he would have went somewhere else, he'd be the starter. Everybody would be glorifying him. He's the guy. Appreciate him. And he's going to show all the naysayers soon. It's coming. The one guy that I think is going to get playing time, is going to eat, is Richard Young this year. Daniel Hill is the biggest back at like 240, but Richard Young is like 220. Man, imagine that combo next year. Justice Haynes, Richard Young, Daniel Hill, Kevin Riley, A.K. Deere, Turbo Rogers. And I know things are kind of a little bit, they seem a little bit fluid with Turbo, which is fine. It's okay. Take your visits, do your thing. I think there's 141 people up in here, and I think all those people would love to have Turbo on the squad. In-state guy. He's a really good running back. Turbo and A.K. Deere would be like having two Christmases. It'd be like the 25th is Christmas, and so is the 26th. Right? Double Christmas Day. Bama Mike, what's up, man? I see you inside the comment box. Eric, what's going on, man? I appreciate you being here. You guys getting hyped up for the college football season? You can feel it. You can taste it, right? This Saturday, we got football, man. In Dublin, Ireland. There was recently some pictures. I think if you follow AL.com on Twitter, there was a couple other people who tweeted, Coach Saban, he's in Dublin. He's in Ireland. He was walking the practice field because, Brent Key used to coach under him, right? Georgia Tech coach. Florida State favored by 11 in that game. Running back room solid. Ugh. All right, the tight end room. I love me some tight ends. I think CJ Dupree has a really big year. I really do. Played in over 500 snaps last year, the most of any tight end for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And I think if Alabama rolls with this 12 personnel set, which is basically where they're rolling with two tight ends, Robbie Oots is going to be right there pulling on somebody and putting somebody in the dirt. He probably like 275 pounds. CJ Dupree had a very big block in this last scrimmage as well. I haven't really heard too much about Danny Lewis this fall camp. I mean, sometimes I hear stuff on players, sometimes I don't. I wouldn't take that shot. I always hyped up Danny Lewis. He's 6'5", 260. I've heard some good things on Josh Cuevas. Again, those icons mean that is a transfer came from Washington. I've actually heard some really good things about Josh Cuevas, that he's actually similar to CJ Dupree in terms of moving around. You've seen the highlights before for these tight ends. They can move, 100%. Freshman is Jay Lindsey. Jay Lindsey's like 260 or something like that? Hey, Jeremiah Taylor in with the 10 spot. Appreciate you, man. Roll Tide from Knoxville. Falls thinking they are bringing it this year. They always do. And their Super Bowl will be when Alabama goes up to Knoxville. Last time Alabama was there, they lost, so Alabama owes them up in Knoxville. Last year, they had a really good defense. That was fun. I can't wait to see Alabama go up to Rocky Top. Hey, David in with the 5 spot as well, man. Appreciate you. You guys continue to support the product right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Thank you so much for the super chats. I really appreciate it. Patriot Life, Garrett, Jeremiah, and David taking care of me this morning. Thank you so much. Bama Football on YouTube. You know what? Out of all the groups this year, I feel like the tight end group kind of was a stock up for me. I felt at times I maybe didn't give them enough credit, but I think overall watching their athleticism, this is an impressive group. It's kind of like a blue-collar group, right? Nobody talks about the tight ends. I love a good tight end. A good blocking tight end. A tight end that you can utilize down in the goal line. My dream heavy package, I told you about this before, right? You have maybe Danny Lewis out there. You have Robbie Oots, two guys that are, 270 pounds. You put Daniel Hill back there, 240 pounds. You have Jalen Milroe. You envisioning this? Behind Caden Proctor, behind Tyler Booker? That's moving weight. Moving weight. All right. That's the tight end room. Making our way downtown to the wide receivers, okay? Look, to be honest, I don't know who will be the first team wide receivers. And I think this will be a group that is interchangeable. I think the first 3 guys that step out will be Jeremy Bernard, Kendrick Law, and Kobe Prentice, kind of out of respect that those guys are veterans and the fact that they're good enough to be starters. I can definitely see Cole Adams in a starting lineup. I can definitely see Ryan Williams in a different starting lineup. Emmanuel Henderson. So those Fs represent like a true freshman, and then the transfer icon is a guy that came in. It's a hell of a wide receiver group, and I feel that this is going to be look, and this is a term that you don't throw away like, lightly. Same thing with like Mamba mentality. There can only be like one player that has Mamba mentality, right? That's just it. Hey man, 237 Alex in with the super chat, man. You the man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Alex 76, man. Yo. So Alex is my boy. He transferred. So he played. Alex played football at Florida International the year they beat Miami. Okay, I'm gonna tell you a quick story before I talk about the wide receivers. You know what? Alex just came to my house. Okay, came to my house not to chit chat, not to like gossip. Guess what Alex did? And he just moved. He moved to Tuscaloosa from Miami. He's from across the pond, right? He's from Great Britain. He came to my house. He's part of our workout group. You know what he came to my house to do? Pray. Yeah. He asked me to pray with him. And we sat here. He sat in my office. We sat down. We talked about life. We talked about kind of the outline of, I told you guys, so I'm always trying to build up my spirituality. That's one of the areas that I'm probably lacking in my life. And, I'm glad, Alex, man. I'm glad you came into my life. I don't have a lot of time right now in my life, but I do value the time that you came over and talked with me, man. That was real. And I appreciate it, man. More than the super chat. Seriously, bro. Man to man. Thank you. So, good stuff, man. Feeling good. All right. That's the wide receiver room. I love Cole Adams up in it. I love Emmanuel Henderson. Those are certainly guys who I think are on the rise. Man, it would make me really happy if Emmanuel Henderson has a really good season. And the thing, look, and the hype never died down about Ryan Williams. I haven't seen, you guys followed Julio, right, when he was here. That was before my time covering Alabama football. But like Ryan Williams, man, there was so much hype. And there's one thing about hype, and then there's another thing about guys continuing to do it. The guy comes out, in his first scrimmage, he catches a touchdown, right? Second scrimmage, catches a 40-yard pass. Like, this is happening. We're not making this up. Like, he's going to play. I love that super chat icon down at the bottom. It's hilarious. Kendrick Law, it's crazy. You know what's crazy to me? The thing of Kendrick Law didn't even catch for 200 yards last year. That'll freak you out. Jamal Scott, what's up, man? So Jamal Scott is saying Ryan Williams got to put on more weight. And that was the thing about it with Devontae Smith. And even Coach Saban had a soundbite on it about, because people were questioning Devontae Smith. I don't know how much Devontae Smith played. He might have played at 160 pounds. I'm serious. Maybe 155. Coach Saban said he was like, the ball weighs, less than a pound or whatever. So he's like, it doesn't really matter how much Devontae Smith. You've seen what he's been able to do in the NFL. Devontae Smith, a whole different character, though. But so is Ryan Williams. Yo, can you hit the Hollywood emoji inside the comment box? That's what I have anytime we mentioned Ryan Williams. And then Kobe Prentice, we talked about him as well. Nobody talks about Kobe Sticky Hands Prentice. If you go back and you're getting excited for this coming season, pull up last year's game and look at how many difficult catches Kobe Prentice made. I'm not kidding you. Like, catches across the middle, like it was very impressive. Jeremy Bernard, Coach Kalen DeBoer, really excited about him. Well, dude, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I get energy from you guys. And it's like every single show is honestly like for my livelihood. So I do it for that. I'm a full-time dad. I have full custody of my kids. They're my biggest priority. That is my identity, is a father to them. So, man, and plus I love doing this. I mean, if I'm going to get one, trip around the world, I'm going to try to do it to the highest level. Garrett, what's up, man? You love that. I love that Hollywood emoji. It's one of my favorite emojis. All right. And then Cole Adams, before I move on, Cole Adams says that they're calling him Mr. Reliable. There's nothing that makes you more happy than having a reliable wide receiver that can go across the middle. Now, with that said, he did get blown up. You saw that footage from the University of Alabama. Now, I had heard during the scrimmage that Cole Adams got blown up. In fact, he had to go into the medical tent. That's what I heard. I didn't know who hit him. It was Malachi Moore. Hey, I mean, you go across the middle, you got to be ready. I like Cole Adams, though, man. It's good to see. All right, we continue. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Okay, hey, new icon to throw up on the screen. Oh, I like that. Okay, so a lot of icons. So the transfer icon is Caden Proctor. We listed him as a transfer because he transferred to Iowa. I know, as weird as it is, he transferred, but he's back. I love yesterday. He takes accountability, and he's like, yeah, I messed up. No, Caden, you didn't mess up. I don't think you messed up at all. In fact, I think you learned an incredible lesson that we don't often learn until later in life. And we talk about this analogy all the time, grass isn't green or whatever. No. Like, the experiences that you have in life are what make you a better person going forward, right? So now you know. Just because something looks better, might be a little bit, more flashy, might be closer to home, man, stay where your feet are at. And now he has another opportunity to come back to Tuscaloosa. It's a really amazing story. Yeah, you go get the bag. He probably got double bag, right? The world of college football, he probably got paid at Iowa, come back here, got paid again. Those are the rules. He's following the rule. He didn't do anything illegal, right? Double paid. There's a lot of players that got double paid. I heard Julian Sain got double paid as well. Riley, Coach Kalen DeBoer said that Jaden Roberts will be back in action for that week 1 matchup against Western Kentucky. I know he had surgery. He's built different than you or I. Could have been his pinky finger. I have no idea what the injury was. It was on his hand. That star icon right here that I added, that means that they are All-Americans. I just went off ESPN All-Americans. Alabama has 3. You're going to see one of the players for the special teams, which is Graham Nicholson, who's also an All-American. So you have a lot going on here on this graphic. You have Caden Proctor, who's back from Iowa. You have Tyler Booker, who's down 25 pounds. And you have him as an All-American, and rightfully so. I think he's probably one of the best guards. Clearly he's an All-American. And then you have Parker Brailsford. How about that? That's amazing. Jaden Roberts, should be good to go. And then you have Welcome Formby, hometown hero. That would be a cool icon, like a hometown hero. Maybe I could have put like a Taco Casa logo by him. Part of the Taco Casa family, right? I like this offensive line. I really do. And I think there's still a little bit of competition with Elijah Pritchett, maybe for that right tackle spot. But overall, it's a really good offensive line. And, Caden Proctor also talked about yesterday, while he's probably weighing what he did last year, he has more muscle mass. So for those of you that have, worked out, stayed in the gym, the more muscle you add, you do gain weight. But it's different than just being kind of, heavy and fat. I think he just played overweight last year. There's nothing wrong with saying, we all saw it. He looked slow. Alabama against Texas, they looked slow. They did. And they paid for it. And they should have paid for it. You can't be slow. With these wolf positions, these edge rushers now, you can't be slow. NFL light. All right, let's talk about the D tackle position. So in this 4-2-5, you have a D tackle and then you have a nose tackle, right? Those are the guys that are going to be inside. So I would imagine it's going to be either Tim Keenan and I don't know, Tim Smith or Jaheim Otis. It's hard to list one of these guys either like, first team or second team, because I think there's going to be a lot of different rotation based on formations. For example, like you get in the third down position, how nice and what a luxury for Alabama to swap in somebody else that can be considered a first team type guy. James Smith, that guy's going to play as well. Damon Payne, we're all waiting for him as well. So there's not one particular, like first or second team. I think Bama's just so deep. Like some of these top tier teams are, but Bama specifically. McVay's right there. McVay's in the second team offensive line at the tackle position. There's competition. I'm just really listing out the starters. I didn't really talk about the reserves, but Elijah Pritchett, McVay, Olas Alanin, Gino Vandermark is a guy who saw time within the guard position, can also play center. Rock Montgomery is a center as well. Tim Keenan, I think he's due for a huge year. Ada Ramsey. His story is one of my favorite too. Him and Jaheim Otis. Like, those guys have had body transformations. Nobody's really hyped him up. Tim Keenan had a monster year last year. And it's crazy to see how athletic he is. I posted that clip of him catching the football, like running look like a linebacker drill. So these are guys that are all over 300 pounds. And then you have this bandit position that Alabama has added within the 4.25. These are the guys who I would imagine they're probably close to 300 pounds, but maybe from like 280 to 300 pounds. A little bit more athletic, guys that can chase down a quarterback. Think of a Keon Keeley now playing at, 277, put on 35 pounds, which is, man, putting on weight is harder than losing weight. We all know that. Jamarian Lathan, I don't know who will start between Jamarian Lathan and LT Overton. And I don't think it matters. That's a very good problem to have. And again, I kind of go back to the formation of it, right? I think when we look to Keon Keeley in the defense, he's probably one of the players that we're most intrigued to see play. Am I wrong about that? Right? Like, out of all the players on defense, I'm most intrigued to see Keon Keeley. In Webbs, I saw that with Tim Smith didn't opt into the NCAA video game. So you had Fox out there. Yeah, I know. I streamed that first season. It was so stressful. I'm in year 2 right now. And man, every single game has been, again, I mean, actually last night I put it on South Carolina. And the game's hard. I have like no time. So I play like one game, maybe a day. But do you see what I'm saying? I'm curious to see Keon Keeley. Out of all the players on the defense, I don't know why. Don, thank you. Like, I'm intrigued on that. Because when you look to his body type last year, you're like, okay, he fits the Wolf position. But, Freddie Roach, Kane Womack, Christian Robinson, those guys probably came together and were like, hey, we got something really special in Keon Keeley for this bandit position. And if we add some weight to him, let's see what he could do. No, Marcus, man, the first time I played South Carolina on year 1, man, it was crazy. Their running back was a monster. It was a Raheem Sanders, right, who transferred from Arkansas. That guy's a beast. Their quarterback was really good too. I think Yanzi Pierre too, man. That's another name. But like, I don't know. I'm just like fascinated with Keon Keeley. Christopher, see? Yeah, their running backs and quarterbacks are crazy on that game. And Jordan Renard, I mean, we really haven't mentioned his name. No disrespect. It's just like sometimes we talk about players, sometimes we don't. There's so many guys to hype up or talk, and guys will get their time. And Christopher, you're right, man. Keon Keeley, what did he put on? Was it 35 pounds? 35 pounds. You go out and put 35 pounds on of muscle because he's jacked. Athletic, man. He'll play this year for 100%. Do I have a picture of Keeley? Yeah, I have a couple pictures of him that I've kind of rotated. I'll put one on another time. I'm kind of rotating through these specific graphics, but his body fat percentage, I don't even know if it would be like 12%, 10%. I'm serious. Add 35 pounds and keep your body fat down. It's like your percentage. I mean, that's what they have these nutritionists at the University of Alabama. Let's look at this inside linebacker position. A couple icons to go over. You have C, which represents the captain for 2 captains on the defensive side. You'll see Malachi Moore coming up next when we talk about the safeties. But Deontay Lawson, one of those guys. And then you have a true freshman in Justin Okoronkwo, who we've heard really good things about. I don't know how much Jeremiah Alexander or Justin Okoronkwo will play this year. I would imagine Jeremiah Alexander gets on the field this year, which is, I mean, it's taking him a little bit of time. In-state guy, we thought he was going to play maybe sooner than later. But then when you look at kind of the depth and the fact that they added Justin Jefferson, I put him as a first-team guy as well. And I know there can only be 2 guys that are inside linebackers. And the first guys that will go out there 100% confident in this is Deontay Lawson and Jahad Campbell. And rightfully so. Jahad Campbell, first-round draft pick, I promise you. Same thing with Deontay Lawson. Justin Jefferson will also be drafted. He's super athletic, transferred here from a junior college, and he's probably had one of the top fall camps in the spring as well. That's a hell of a trio. They're going to get plenty of playing time, and Deontay Lawson said when playing in the 4-2-5 is that you just get rotation. You're able to play free. Now, they do have the green dot, which means that they're part of the helmet communication system, right? So they'll be talking to Coach Kane Wommack, just him. And then when he doesn't have the green dot, it'll be Jahad Campbell. Tim is saying, if you haven't watched the triple option interview with Nick Saban and Mark Ingram and Urban Meyer, it's worth it. Yeah, so Mark Ingram, I think, started a new podcast, and he has Coach Saban on. So I haven't checked it out, to be honest, but I definitely will. So good point out, Tim. Hey, and you know what? Like, to all of the websites out there and to all the YouTube channels that cover Alabama football, your recruiting sites, everything, please support them. They do a really great job. And just like me, they're trying to, this is what they do for their livelihood. So don't feel like if you're showing support to me that you can't go and show support to them. Like, it's all good. Like, those guys do a great job, whether it's Touchdown Alabama or whether it's Bama Online or whether it's, some new YouTube channels that have stopped, people who used to work here, whatever. Like, please support them. They're doing a really good job. And I think there's a lot of talent out there covering the Alabama football team. So please support them. They do a really great job. We continue looking at the wolf position. So the wolf position is now, think of it as a William Anderson, Dallas Turner, somebody off the edge that has a lot of athleticism. I think this is probably some of the most depth and the most talented depth on Alabama's team, because any of these guys could start probably anywhere in the country right now, even Yanzi Pierre. And I know he's, relatively new to the scene. Patriot Life in with 5 fan funderships. I appreciate it, Patriot Life. Thank you so much. Tim, and I think so too, man. They have to average 45 points a game. Over 40. How could you not? That offense? You know what? If I had to choose another one after Keon Keeley in terms of a guy I'm most intrigued with, it's Keanu Cope. It would go Keeley, then Keanu Cope. And this might be for like the whole, obviously I'm curious about, Ryan Williams, because he's just a freshman, but like on the offensive side, but on defense, and maybe overall, guys I'm most intrigued with. How about this? Undefeated. List a player that you are most intrigued with to see this year. Like, I'm saying Keon Keeley, Keanu Cote. Let me think about the offense as well. Maybe Parker Brailsford. Just want to see how he snaps the damn ball. Ryan Williams, right? Parker Brailsford. So I'm up to 4. I'll think about one more as well. Oh, maybe. Oh, you know what? Damani Jackson. So my 5 are the most intriguing players for me. Keon Keeley, Keanu Cote, Parker Brailsford, Ryan Williams, and Damani Jackson. No specific order, but that's kind of like who I'm really intrigued with. Q-Rob, he's been here. He's a veteran. He has superb athleticism. Keanu Cote, absolute monster. Still one of my favorite highlight tapes from high school, out of all defensive players. Quay Russo, he's a starter anywhere else in the country. Yanzi Pierre, he has it. And then Noah Carter, that's also one of my favorite highlight tapes. That dude was playing wide receiver and like returning kicks in Phoenix. Remember his highlight tape? It was crazy. Yeah, and Patriot Live, thank you so much for hooking up everywhere with the fan fundership. Appreciate you guys. And that F represents a true freshman. All right, look at this. See, that's why I think if I take off my little fan hat and I start to look at the corners, this is why I'm a little bit concerned about the corners. You have a lot of icons. Transfers, freshmen. Damani Jackson came in. Big ceiling, former 5-star. USC, I don't think he was like an All-American at USC, right? I don't think they utilized him correctly. Plus, now he's working with Mo Lindquist, who's going to elevate anybody's game. It's amazing to me that Xavier Brown, as just a freshman, is going to start for Alabama. Jalen Mbakwe, Coach Kane Wommack said he's going to absolutely play. Might be one of the best athletes on the team now, which is crazy. And Wommack said this about Jalen Mbakwe too. He's like, he didn't even play corner in high school, so they kind of had to catch him up to speed. That's how athletic he is. And then Deshaun Jones comes over from Wake Forest, and he has the most experience other than Damani Jackson. Now, again, I didn't list all the reserves. There's other guys that will probably get in the rotation as well. But just from like an icon standpoint, 2 transfers in and 2 freshmen. Those are going to be your guys that you're leaning on in the first game. Maybe Jalen Mbakwe, add him to my list. That's another player. I'm going to write that down. That sounds like a fun graphic to create. So my most intriguing players, Keeley, Coat, Mbakwe, Brailsford, Williams. All right, I just don't want to forget that. I got lists and lists and lists of like all my stuff. All right, the safety position, we got some icons to go over as well. You got Malachi Moore as a captain, Keon Sabb, who's a transfer in from Michigan. You got Devontae Smith, a player who was shortchanged last year because of an injury. And then you have King Mack at that second team safety, and then Red Morgan, who's a freshman at that second team Husky position. Even though these guys haven't played together, like in an actual game situation, I have more confidence in the safeties right now than I do in the corners. I feel really good about Malachi Moore. I think he's just due for an absolutely phenomenal year. And I think Keon Sabb will be that guy. Like, he's going to bring a lot to Alabama. And then Devontae Smith, he's up there too. He might be another player I'm kind of intrigued to see. King Mack, Coach Kane Womack recently was talking about King Mack and said that during scrimmage situations and game situations that King Mack has an ability to kind of elevate. I like that. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it, man. I put a lot into these graphics. I do all the graphics myself. So like coming up with the icons, I like doing like the artwork. But sometimes I have errors, which is fine. I'm human. If you see something, say something, and then I'll go back and fix it for the next one. And then Red Morgan, he got a lot of positive praise as well, right? Tim's most intriguing players, Caleb Odom. Oh, good choice. Jeremy Bernard, Richard Young, and King Mack. Hey, those are good options, Tim. I appreciate it. Let's see who else. Did anyone else? Case, what's up, man? I appreciate you joining the party. Did anyone else list their players that you're most intrigued with? I'm trying to cruise through the comment line. List a couple players that you're intrigued with. I like that how you set that up, Tim. That's good. I think those are all good players. From with the Vol suck, LSU suck. Those are easy emojis and people love them, right? If you're listening on podcast, if you're watching the show, you get to add your emojis to basically show your hate for an opposite school. I have like Tennessee, LSU, Georgia, and Auburn, right? We have Auburn in there too. Okay. Here's a good graphic as well. We don't often talk about special teams when we talk college football, which is crazy because it's the most, one of the most important parts of the game, if not the most important sometimes. You have an All-American. That's what that icon represents, and the transfer as well for Graham Nicholson, right? The kicker who transferred here from Miami of Ohio. James Burnett. Oof. He is the team's punter and also the holder for Graham Nicholson. He's from Australia. Yo, James Burnett, fam. He's like 6'6", 6'7". He might be the tallest. I would like to see who's taller, him or Austin Mack. But I guess the tallest player is probably Caden Proctor, right? If he's 6'7". Huh. Who's the tallest player on the team? I remember when I interviewed James Burnett. Man, I was like, yo. And J.K. Scott was also tall. Was he 6'6" too? Your snapper, this is huge, what I'm about to say right here. Your snapper is a senior in Neelan Hibbett. You ever been to Hibbett Sports? A Legacy, right? He's been here for a while. That's so important, right? You don't want it like a kind of a greenhorn snapper. So I like that special teams. Look at that from left to right. All experienced. Huge parts of the game. Huge. Graham Nicholson, Lou Groza Award winner last year. All-American, transfer in, huge. James Burnett, returning punter. He's the holder, experienced. Neelan Hibbett, he's a senior, experienced. Huge, huge, huge. Look, I'm not confident in terms of the kick returner and the punt returner. I think it could be a variety of people. Like, I don't think they've named one specific guy just yet. Could be Jeremy Bernard, could be Kendrick Law, Jalen Mbakwe, could be the punt returner. I heard that Cole Adams kind of looked like he was the first team punt returner, but I also heard that Jalen Mbakwe could be that guy as well. Coach Kalen DeBoer said that it could be Jeremy Bernard. So I don't know. Yeah, Chris, I think it's a rotating window. So I'm not really sure on this one in terms of the kick returner and punt returner. But you have a lot of different options. Who I don't want to see back there is somebody slow and I like you have to have your fastest players, in my opinion, guys with top acceleration who are elusive, right? Cole Adams fits that. So does Jeremy Bernard. I mean, Jeremy Bernard makes sense because he has experience in doing it. Like a couple years ago, look, remember when they had Jaleel Billingsley returning kicks? Do you remember this? I was like, no, not that. You want somebody who's going to, like Jalen Waddle. There you go. That's who you want, like a player like that. That I still think about that kick return that he had against Auburn. That was crazy, remember? And the guy from Auburn like lays out. Such a dope play. Yes, Byron, thank you. Electricity. Punt return. All right. Couple more graphics to get through. Hey, have you guys liked the graphics in the show? Can you hit the thumbs up? I appreciate you guys for being here. And think about becoming a fan funder. $2.99 to support the product right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys for continuing to support me right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I'll go and I'll add the link real quick just to give you guys an option if you guys want to support the channel. And if you guys want to become fan funders of the show, it really helps me out. Honestly, it's how I make a living. So 1 second, you might hear some audio in the background because I'm doing something. And then I have a couple more graphics to knock out, and then we'll close it up right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Truth be told, my daughter just texted me, so I have to go get her from school. So doing a lot of things. I'm a dad first, so those are the things that I'm doing. But I appreciate you guys being here, and thank you so much. I'm going to drop right now the fan funder link inside the comment box, and then we'll continue with this graphic, which I really am excited to talk to you about. Fan funder link, and it's $2.99 to support the channel. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So as mentioned, there's a lot of transfers that have come in and out. So what I wanted to do is kind of give you an idea of the transfers that are starting here at the University of Alabama. And let me know, you can cross-check this with me. I was doing this kind of before the show. And I added LT Overton at that bandit position just because I have him and Jamarian Latham as first-team guys. He might not be one of the first to be out there. But in terms of like the transfers, I think this is pretty notable, right? Jeremy Bernard coming in from Washington, Caden Proctor coming back from Iowa, Parker Brailsford coming in with Coach Kalen DeBoer from Washington, LT Overton from Texas A&M, Damani Jackson coming in from USC, Keon Sabb coming in from Michigan, and Graham Nicholson coming from Miami of Ohio. What would be pretty cool is if I put underneath it like the logo of the school, right? Like Washington, Iowa, Washington, A&M, USC, Michigan, Graham, right? I don't know. I found that kind of interesting. Here's a look at the new coaching staff as well. We have 2 more slides to go through. Here's the coaching staff. Kalen DeBoer, right? Head football coach from Washington. Courtney Morgan, GM from Washington as well. Nick Sheridan, offensive coordinator from Washington. Kane Womack, the defensive coordinator from South Alabama. And like Kane Womack said, he's been, he's coached with Kalen DeBoer before, right? Yesterday, I think he said, or a couple days ago, he's like, I was in the foxhole with him. I like that. Additional coaches that read out. Now pay attention to this. I have never seen coaches with so many duplicate or additional titles. This is, it has to do with pay raise, but also kind of respect for where the coaches are. So check this out. Freddie Roach, associate head coach and defensive line coach. Jamarcus Shepard, wide receivers co-OC. Robert Gillespie, assistant head coach, running backs coach. Colin Hitchler came from Wisconsin. Jamarcus Shepard came from Washington. Colin Hitchler is the co-DC. So Alabama has, look, how many co-DCs? They have 2 co-DCs and then Kane Womack. Because Mo Lindquist was the head football coach at the University of Buffalo, right? And now he's working with the DBs. Brian Ellis, working with the tight ends. Chris Kapilovic, working with the offensive line. Christian Robinson, working with the outside backers. And Jay Nunez, who's a special assistant, but also working with the special teams. Then you have Jeff Allen, sports medicine. Huge addition. To retain Jeff and David Ballou, monumental. Those are like taking out the pillars, right? Like you take that, the program probably collapses. And then a couple other assistant coaches here as well. Ellis Ponder, Bob Welton, kind of rounding out the staff in support roles. All right, so those are the graphics. Let's look one more. Our last graphic we're going to look at is the Alabama Crimson Tide's football schedule this year. We'll go full screen on it one time. I'm sure you know what the schedule looks like, but let's just kind of look at it at a glance. I use FBSschedules.com. You got Western Kentucky, 6 p.m. Central Time kick at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Then you take on South Florida. Alabama is a 30-point favorite in each of those games under the lights. Then you go to Camp Randall, where you will take on Wisconsin at a game that starts at 11 a.m. You are open. You have an extra week to prepare for the Georgia Bulldogs. Then you go up to Nash Vegas to take on Vanderbilt. You got South Carolina coming to Tuscaloosa. Then you have the back-end schedule. The third Saturday in October at Tennessee. Trip up to Knoxville. Beat Coach Kalen DeBoer's first real road trip in the SEC. Missouri coming to town. Eli Drinkwitz, I think, is a really good coach. You're open and you have an extra week to prepare for a trip to Baton Rouge, where you'll take on Brian Kelly. You got Mercer, and then you got a trip to Norman, Oklahoma, to take on Brett Venables and his squad. And you come back and you play the Auburn Tigers. So just hear me out. I always like to mention this because I think it gives you an idea of just how tough the schedule will be. Let's just look at the head football coaches they'll be facing, okay? And on this back end. Josh Heupel, Eli Drinkwitz, Brian Kelly, Brett Venables, Hugh Freeze, and let's just say at this point they're still in the mix to play for the SEC championship. Let's just throw in Lane Kiffin or Steve Sarkisian or Kirby Smart. You get what I'm saying? Like the challenge, it's an absolute gauntlet this season for anybody in college football, but this specifically is an ultra challenging schedule. Where you play for the SEC championship, in my opinion, you're in the college football playoffs. Remember, 12 teams going in this year. The coaching in the SEC, man, absolutely. You know, one of the best sound bites yesterday from Courtney Morgan said that, you know, recruiting is recruiting. And at Alabama, you can recruit because that script A goes so far. But he was like, going against the SEC in recruiting is relentless. Every program has money. Every coach is high caliber. He said it's relentless, right? That's how it is here. And to think about that and to still think that Alabama's number 2 in the team rankings right now, I think says a lot about the philosophy when they're talking to the players that want to come here, to the parents, to the coaches. You know, early buy-in, I think, is great. I appreciate you guys being here. My name is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Thank you very much for continuing to support the product, for supporting me right here on the YouTube show. Whether it's super chats, thumbs up, fan funding, whatever it is, I just appreciate you being here. And thank you very much. I know there's a lot of different places that you could be. Please support the other YouTube channels. It's great. You know, the other sites and stuff like that. This is the college football season, and I appreciate you guys. And I have a lot of respect for all those guys out there doing their job. So one more time, from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, my name is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Today you have Coach Kalen DeBoer. I'll upload that. I'll probably put some context to it as well. The grind don't stop. I love it. I love what I do. I love being able to be here in this space talking college football with you. And I just hope you had a good time on my segment right here. One more time, from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Hat available in the merch store. And then the drip up top from Chris Mobley, I think in Birmingham or here in Tuscaloosa. Have an amazing day. We'll catch up with you soon as news happens. Kalen DeBoer press conference coming up later today right here on